Later, folks. John Henry, lowgenius.net, progressivemuckraker.com. So over the last couple of days, I've been paying, regrettably, some attention to the blatherings of a guy by the name of Ted Nugent, who you probably have heard of if you're from the U.S. Guitar player, had a minor hit in the 70s, etc., etc. Yeah, he's a good guitarist, but whatever. And I'm a rock and roll guy, and that's never been a secret. I've played drums since I was 8 years old, and over the course of 33 years, I've picked up a little guitar and vocals as well. So I've got nothing against loud guitars and thumping metal drums and bass. In fact, it's pretty fair to say that they're in my blood. I've also got nothing against hunting in and of itself. I've never been a hunter myself, but I have nothing against it. In fact, I enjoy a lot of wild game, and especially venison. And of course, with a rich Native American background, it would be pretty self-loathing of me to be a member of PETA or something. I just wanted to get those things said so that nobody mistakes my abject loathing for the walking caricature of manhood known as Ted Nugent for some fur is murder or rock and roll music is evil trip. So with the disclaimers out of the way, I say this to Ted Nugent. You are a coward, a buffoon, and an embarrassment to this country and to rock music. You're a bad liar and a psychopathic egomaniac with less redeeming value than the average flatulence. You suck. And what little interest I've had in your music over the years has been completely obliterated by 2 decades worth of your rampant stupidity, misogyny, racism, and ignorance. Playing guitar is the only thing you do well, and frankly, given your obvious and undeniable talent in that realm, I think it's obvious that your horribly abrasive and ugly personality has done you far more harm than good. Now, my first distaste for Nugent came in the wake of Kurt Cobain's suicide. I was never a big Nirvana fan like so many of my contemporaries, but I enjoyed him. I thought it was a tragic loss when Cobain died. But not Ted. Oh, no. Now, Cobain's body had barely cooled before Nugent appeared on the Rockline radio show to tell the world that he didn't like Cobain and he was glad he's dead. Not too cool, Ted. But hey, guy's got a big mouth trying to keep his name in the papers while Nirvana and what came to be known as grunge were nuking his career. It's just business, right? Yeah. Except it's a habit that Ted has, talking smack about dead people to get his name in the papers. When Pantera Damage Plan guitarist Dimebag Darrell was shot and killed on stage by a deranged fan, Nugent's response was, well, this is what he said. I never thought too highly of anyone foolish enough to take on the nickname of a life-destroying dope product and promote such family-destroying conduct on stage. I did hear their version of Cat Scratch Fever, and it was exceedingly white. No soul, no balls, no feel. Caucasian all the way. Elements of dope, booze, and heroin disconnect quite apparent as usual. There is no excuse for such horrifically negative, irresponsible, criminal, America-wrecking behavior as such chimp-like substance abuse. Period. They appeared as Aussie-like zombies on TV. You think? American drunks and dopers are a la puke terrorists' favorite allies. Damn them. Damn them all. So here's a guy who gets shot, and Nugent's response is to throw out a bunch of racist, condescending insults, likening the deceased to, quote, a la puke terrorists, and finishing up with a respectful damn them all. Funny thing is, Ted Nugent himself is easily one of the most Caucasian and white of all the rock musicians out there. His songs are predictably marked by straight 4/4 boom tap, boom boom tap. No grace notes, no funk, no soul. But he seems to think he's channeling a Robert Johnson every time he picks up a guitar. Of course, there's the whole thing about his remarks directed at Courtney Love, who is admittedly not going to win any Mom of the Year awards shortly after Cobain's death. More to the point, directed at Cobain's infant daughter. And the only way that girl will have a normal childhood is when that worthless, addicted slut of a mother dies and she'll be given to parents that give a damn. Alright, the guy's got a right to his opinion. Except the whole thing with having, given 2 children of his own up for adoption and having a couple of others out of wedlock that he had to be sued to support. And then there's that whole bit in the late 70s where he was screwing a 17-year-old Hawaiian girl and convinced her parents to sign over guardianship to him while he was married to his first wife. And he never married the girl. But who am I to judge? Little older man, younger woman thing, hey, that's cool. I've argued against our culture's rather odd views on sex and sexuality myself before. I just think it's awfully hypocritical for a guy to preach family values when he's giving his own kids away to adoption agencies, refusing to support the ones he acknowledges, and banging a minor. But hey, it's all rock and roll, right? And hey, nothing is more rock and roll than Ted Nugent. Just ask him. He'll tell you. You want that visceral root of the music, you get into the hunt. You go track wild game and you kill it. You tell people how much you respect your prey. Except he doesn't. Professional hunters have reported that off camera, when he's not playing to the crowd, Nugent is in it for the kill and only for the kill. One hunting guide in Hawaii called Nugent, quote, unethical. He shoots at anything. You should kill what you can use. He just likes to kill a lot of animals. Nugent himself, in unguarded moments, will reveal this as well. Nobody hunts just to put meat on the table, he says. I don't hunt for meat. I hunt to hunt, he says. Yeah, no respect for his prey. No respect for the environment. Everything's a target to good old Nuge, and anything that appears to be respect for his targets or the environment they inhabit is simply Nugent advocating for his own preferences. He doesn't care about the environment because it sustains life. He cares about it because it sustains targets, including heads of state. Quote, Obama, he's a piece of shit. I told him to suck on my machine gun. Hey, Hillary, you might want to ride one of these. He was holding 2 machine guns at the time. Into the sunset, you worthless bitch. This was a couple months after he showed up to Texas Governor Rick Perry's inauguration ball wearing a Confederate flag shirt, a decision which Nugent insists Perry had, quote, no problem with. So let's see, he lays claim to the heritage of black blues artists, using the word Caucasian to criticize other artists' work. He claims to be the All-American, the Great Patriot. He does these things and then runs around wearing the flag of a group of states who tried to break away from the United States of America in order to preserve their right to hold black people as property, as slaves. And it gets better. The Irish-descended Nugent also outfitted himself in ceremonial Native American headdress at the same event. Yeah, a white guy in a rebel flag and a headdress, claiming to be a patriot. But that's not the end of Nugent's hypocrisy. You see, Nugent was born in 1948, which put him smack dab in the middle of the draft for Vietnam. Of course, being a gun-toting man's man of a patriot that he is, he jumped to the head of the line and begged to be sent over and take out the evil commie menace, right? Wrong. What he did, literally, was crap his pants. That's not a euphemism. In an interview with High Times magazine, a strange venue to begin with for such a virulent anti-drug crusader, Nugent says, and I quote, I got 30 days notice of the physical. I ceased cleaning my body. 2 weeks before the test, I stopped eating food with nutritional value. A week before, I stopped going to the bathroom. I did it in my pants. My pants got crusted up. Nugent now claims that this isn't true, except his selective service record, which is pictured on my blog, seems to support the original story. He pulled 2 student deferments, and finally, taking a physical, got that, quote, big juicy 4F that he bragged about in that interview. Admittedly, the selective service record does not give details, but 4F classification is physically, mentally, or morally unfit for service. And I think we can eliminate physically from that list. I could go on for days about how pathetic and disgusting this guy is, from his casual use of the N-word to his habitual description of blacks as pieces of excrement to his hyper-nationalist hate-mongering towards any non-white, non-U.S. persons. His ridiculous caricatures of manhood in song titles like My Love is Like a Tire Iron or Wang-a-Dang Sweet Poontang are an embarrassment to masculinity. With lyrics that seem to fly in the face of his anti-drug position, I've been smoking for so long, the stakes are high, and so on. Combined with ridiculous infantile sexual references, I make a pussy purr with the stroke of my hand. Nugent isn't just an anachronism, he's a coward, a scared little boy afraid that someone's going to catch on to his essential insecurity about his penis, an insecurity that he tries and fails to disguise with braggadocio and big guns. Sure, he does some charitable work when the cameras are on. He had no problem running Dimebag Darrell down as a druggy loser, but he didn't hesitate to get involved in the public gesture of honor for Darrell because it looks good for the cameras and gets his name on a poster. All that flash, all that style, all that mouth. But when you peel away the posturing and the posing, all you're left with is a draft dodger that crapped his pants for a week rather than serving his country when he was called. And now he makes a big show of flying in and out of war zones, giving concerts. Supporting the troops, he calls it, but then says that government employees are rip-off artists that demand more than they produce. What's not to despise? Indeed, Mr. Nugent, what's not to despise about a guy who crapped his pants to avoid war, who kills animal for the sheer enjoyment of the brutality involved, and that's not a statement against hunting. What's not to despise about a guy who makes a big public show of supporting the troops, not knowing that he not only refused to serve himself, but routinely insults those troops in interviews and agitates for a lawless, war-torn America that would make the streets of Rwanda or Somalia look like pastoral scenes from a duck pond, where anyone who doesn't speak English should be shot? What's not to despise about a guy who says, I'd like all the thieves to be killed, but fails to acknowledge his own theft of support from his own children, which was only corrected by a court? What's not to despise about a guy who says that any woman who is raped and doesn't kill her, attack her, deserves to be raped? In short, Ted Nugent is everything about America that is broken, twisted, ugly, shameful, hateful, ignorant, evil, and wrong. The only time he does a good thing is either by accident or to puff up his own ego. I liked you a lot more, Ted, before I realized just who you are.